Hello everyone, this is Yuri Godard and this is your Bread of Life channel. The teaching today is an excerpt taken and adapted from the preacher's commentary of the Bible. Today we continue with our teaching through the 6 issues of the law and we read from Matthew 5 from 27 to 30. It says there, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell." Well, this is quite radical, eh? This is the second issue that Jesus takes from the Old Commandments, and it is, "You shall not commit adultery." He fills it full of meaning by saying, "But I say to you, whoever looks to lust is guilty of an adulterer's heart." Jesus wants his community free from anger and killing. So likewise, he wants it free from lust and adultery. The word adultery means marriage breaker, and it has to do with violating one's covenant. This passage is addressed to the married in its primary meaning, although the teaching on pure thoughts and high regard for the person of others is also valid here. Married or single, purity calls us to the highest regard for others, to see them as persons and not as bodies to be used for our pleasure. However, that's powerful. However, marriage is a covenant between two people for life, and adultery violates that covenant. Jesus expects his disciples to keep covenant in both deed and attitude. When two persons covenant to be husband and wife, for one to entertain thoughts of relating sexually to someone other than the spouse makes that one person guilty of breaking covenant. Such would have committed adultery against the spouse, if even only in thought. This is the highest standard of fidelity in marriage. Jesus is saying that not only is the act of immorality sin, but the inner desire for immoral experiences is sin as a violation of covenant. This really takes us to the place where Jesus wants to give us a new heart and a new perspective on things. With a new heart, our desire is transformed from wanting to please ourselves to please Him. We will still be tempted, though, and that's why Jesus wants to give us a new perspective. This new perspective is that we will abide in Him and therefore reject the flesh. We will seek Him and He will strengthen us in our weaknesses. We will come close to Him with a heart desiring repentance, not out of guilt, but out of wanting to be close to Him. With Him, we give abundant fruits, but without Him, we can do absolutely nothing. We serve Him out of love from a perspective of a new heart, and only those who have this new heart can actually understand these principles and develop a love to follow them. Verses 29 and 30 emphasize how seriously the disciple is to regard this problem. Anything that leads to lust should be given up. One regards sin so seriously as to prefer to lose an eye or a hand rather than to lose one's self in sin. And Here's the thing. We should understand these statements. Just as, we spoke about the previous passage, we should understand this with that is addressed to our thoughts and attitudes, and this means taking literally the basic intent of the passage rather than the physically removing of the eye. The loss of one eye or one hand cannot in itself prevent a lustful look or a thought. The word picture is to emphasize deliberate, decisive action in dealing with our propensity to sin. This guy Taskers writes, Jesus is expressing in metaphorical language the all-important truth that a limited but morally healthy life is better than a wider life which is morally depraved. And this passage has special relevance for us in our sensual culture. Um, Sexual interests and stimulation are promoted freely in advertising as well as in social life. The so-called sexual revolution has led to more openness about sexual expressions, but to less meaning. The current pseudo freedom is a compensation for the loss of security of a personhood and the quest for the pride of sensual achievement. And pride is expressed at two levels: the pride in superiority or power, and the pride in sensuality. While the sensual in God's order can be an ecstatic aspect of the love in which two people give themselves completely to each other in the marriage covenant, it can be perverted into selfish gratification and exploitation of another. Jesus' teachings oppose the perverted social order freedoms expressed in fornication, adultery, group sex, group masturbation, and homosexuality. Infatuated with orgasm, moderns want to justify deviant sex patterns that achieve this experience so long as no one is hurt. But it's improper to alter God's created plan, which subordinates sex to the larger meaning of the completeness of personality, in which masculinity and femininity complement each other in the fulfillment of personhood made possible by this covenant association. The sinful conduct of fornication, the use of pornography, selfish practice of masturbation, the practice of homosexuality which avoids adjustments of relating to the complementing aspects of heterosexuality, and affairs of the part of the married for the vanity and thrill of conquest, are all brought under judgment by Jesus' teachings. He calls his disciples to live in a real world of sexual responsibility and of purity of heart. Blessings.